My best friend secretly dated my crush and told everyone I was too ugly for him anyway. They both laughed behind my back for months. But when I became a successful entrepreneur and he came begging for a second chance, I held up my hand with my engagement ring to someone a million times better. My name is Madison Carter, and when everything happened, I was just a 19-year-old college sophomore trying to figure out life like everyone else. I wasn't rich. I wasn't famous. I didn't even think I was particularly pretty. I was just me. Regular old Madison, the girl who stayed up late studying, wore oversized hoodies, and still believed that true love could be real if you found the right person. At that time, my best friend was Chloe Bennett. We had been inseparable since middle school, matching Halloween costumes, late-night phone calls, crying over stupid boys. She was the kind of friend who would show up with ice cream after a breakup and laugh at dumb memes with me until we couldn't breathe. Or so I thought. And then there was Ethan Walker. Ethan was the definition of dream guy. He was 21 on the college soccer team, with messy dark hair and the kind of smile that made you forget what you were saying. I'd had a crush on him since freshman year, but I never told him. Or anyone else except Chloe. I trusted her with everything. One night, Chloe and I were sitting in our favorite coffee shop, and I finally admitted it. I told her how much I liked Ethan, how sometimes just seeing him across campus made my day. She giggled and teased me in that way friends do, but she promised she would keep my secret safe. She even said she would help me figure out a way to talk to him without embarrassing myself. Little did I know, she was already talking to him a lot. The first time I noticed something weird, it was small. Chloe started texting constantly, smiling down at her phone during our movie nights. When I asked who it was, she just shrugged and said, "Nobody important." I didn't push. I trusted her. I had no reason not to. Until I heard the rumors. It was a Thursday afternoon when I was walking across campus, and two girls behind me were whispering. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when someone says your name, your ears perk up. I heard Madison liked Ethan, one girl said, giggling. As if she ever had a chance. He and Chloe are hooking up. He said Madison's way too ugly for him anyway. I stopped dead in my tracks. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I might throw up right there on the sidewalk. At first, I thought, no, they're wrong. Chloe would tell me. Ethan barely knows me. This doesn't make sense. But deep down, something cracked open. A tiny, ugly truth I'd been ignoring. All those secret texts, the way Chloe suddenly had excuses when I asked to hang out, it all lined up in the worst way possible. Still, I needed to see it with my own eyes before I could believe it. So I made the worst mistake of my life. I checked Chloe's private Instagram account. The one she used only for her close friends. She had accepted me ages ago and must have forgotten I could still see everything. And there they were. Pictures of Chloe and Ethan, cuddled up at a party. Ethan kissing her cheek while she laughed. The captions were full of inside jokes and references to things only couples would say. But the worst part wasn't the photos. It was the comments. Chloe had written under one post, "Guess I don't need to worry about Madison anymore." Ethan replied, "Well, she's sweet, but not exactly my type." And then their friends piled on, laughing, making jokes about how I was the backup plan if Ethan ever lost his eyesight. I can't even describe the kind of heartbreak I felt. It wasn't just a guy rejecting me. It was my best friend, the person who knew all my insecurities, all my dreams, who used them against me for entertainment. For weeks, I walked around like a ghost. Chloe still acted normal around me, like nothing had changed, like I hadn't seen it all. She'd show up to our hangouts with Ethan's hoodie accidentally left in her car. She'd casually mention him and laugh when she thought I wasn't paying attention. They laughed at me behind my back for months, but I didn't confront them. I didn't cry in front of them. I didn't even unfriend Chloe right away. Instead, I made a decision. If they thought I was nothing, I'd become something so big they wouldn't even be able to look at me without feeling regret. I threw myself into my business classes. I stayed up late working on a project that had been just an idea until then, a small online boutique selling customized planners and accessories for students. I used every dollar I had saved to build a cheap website. I taught myself marketing. I posted on social media every day even when nobody liked or shared anything. And slowly, It started working. One post went viral. Then another. Orders started pouring in. I could barely keep up. Within a year, Mad Carter Designs had over 150,000 followers and enough revenue for me to drop out of college and run the business full-time. Meanwhile, I heard things about Chloe and Ethan. How their relationship crashed and burned after a few months. How Ethan cheated on her with someone else. How Chloe lost a bunch of friends when people found out what she had done to me. How Ethan wasn't even on the soccer team anymore because of some scandal. But I didn't care. I was busy building an empire. Then one night it happened. I was at a networking event downtown, dressed in an outfit that cost more than my entire college wardrobe combined, laughing with a group of other entrepreneurs, when I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around, and there he was. Ethan Walker. For a second, I didn't recognize him. The confident, cocky Ethan I used to swoon over was gone. In his place stood someone smaller. Deflated. His clothes didn't fit right. His hair was messy in a way that wasn't charming anymore. And the second he met my eyes, I could see it, the regret. "Madison," he said, trying to flash that old charming smile. "Wow, you look incredible." I just raised an eyebrow and waited. He shifted awkwardly, scratching the back of his neck. "I've been meaning to reach out," he mumbled. "You've been killing it, huh? I see your brand everywhere. You're amazing." It was almost funny how the guy who once laughed behind my back was now standing in front of me, desperate for my attention. I gave him a polite smile but said nothing. He took that as encouragement. "Listen," he said, stepping closer, lowering his voice. "I was an idiot back then. I didn't know what I had in front of me. But maybe we could grab coffee sometime? Catch up." His eyes scanned my face hopefully. I almost pitied him. Almost. Before I could answer, I heard a familiar voice call my name. Warm, strong, protective. I turned and smiled as Liam Brooks walked over, my fiancé. Liam was everything Ethan wasn't. Genuine, loyal, smart. He was a few years older than me, already running a successful tech company, and somehow he still looked at me like I was magic. He slipped his arm around my waist and kissed my temple. "Hey babe. Sorry I'm late." Traffic was brutal. Ethan's face paled. Liam noticed him and extended a hand, always polite. "Hey man. I'm Liam, Madison's fiancé." For a moment, Ethan just stared. Then, with visible effort, he shook Liam's hand, mumbling some awkward congratulations. I almost felt bad for Ethan, until I remembered every comment, every laugh, every betrayal. "Actually," I said sweetly, holding up my left hand, where a massive diamond sparkled under the lights. "We just got engaged last month. Isn't it gorgeous?" Ethan's eyes locked on the ring, and I saw the exact moment his heart shattered. But the night wasn't done delivering surprises. Because just as Ethan awkwardly excused himself and melted into the crowd, guess who else showed up? Chloe. Still clinging to the idea that she was the center of every party, she stumbled into the event like she owned it, wearing a dress 2 sizes too small and a forced smile. Her eyes landed on me instantly. She hesitated, as if debating whether to approach, but then she did, all fake smiles and breathy excitement. "Madison. Oh my God. I can't believe it's you," she squealed, hugging me like we were long-lost sisters. I stood stiffly, not hugging back. Liam tightened his grip on my waist, sensing my tension. "You're such a boss now," Chloe gushed. "We totally have to catch up. Remember those old days? God, we were such babies." I wanted to laugh. "Babies? No, Chloe. I grew up. You stayed the same." Before I could reply, one of the event organizers walked over. "Madison, we're ready for you backstage. Everyone's so excited to hear you speak." Chloe's eyes widened in shock. "Wait, you're speaking tonight?" I smiled. "Yeah. Keynote speaker." Her face fell. For a second, I thought she might actually collapse under the weight of her own jealousy. She forced another tight smile, but the bitterness in her eyes was unmistakable. As I turned to walk backstage with Liam, I heard her whisper behind me, thinking I couldn't hear. "Must be nice to get lucky." "Lucky? No, Chloe. I worked for this." And that was the difference between us. As I stepped onto the stage, the lights hit me like a wave of warmth. Hundreds of people stared up, applauding as my name echoed through the venue. For a brief second, I thought about the girl I used to be, standing alone at parties, feeling invisible next to Chloe, dreaming about Ethan. That girl would have never believed this moment was even possible. I found Liam in the crowd, giving me the biggest, most supportive smile, and it filled me with courage. I started my speech, sharing my journey, not the polished, Instagram-perfect version, but the raw truth. The late nights, the failures, the people who said I wasn't good enough, the people who laughed behind my back. My voice stayed steady as I said, there will always be people who tell you you're too much, or not enough. And sometimes, those people are the ones you trusted the most. But trust me, their opinion doesn't define you. Only you can do that. The audience erupted in applause. I caught a glimpse of Chloe and Ethan standing awkwardly at the back, their faces unreadable. And then, something completely unexpected happened. After the event ended, a woman approached me backstage. She looked nervous, clutching a small notebook to her chest. "Hi, Madison," she said softly. I don't know if you remember me. I'm Natalie. I went to high school with you. We had chemistry together." I blinked, trying to place her. Then it clicked. Quiet Natalie, who never spoke unless forced to. "I just wanted to say," she continued, her voice trembling, "you were always kind to me. Even when no one else was. Especially Chloe and Ethan. They used to be so cruel. It's inspiring seeing you up there. You deserve every bit of it." Her eyes glistened with emotion. Before I could stop myself, I hugged her tightly. "Thank you," I whispered. "That means more than you know." But Natalie wasn't done. She pulled away and bit her lip nervously. "There's something else," she said. "I probably should have told you a long time ago, but I overheard Chloe once. Back in senior year. It wasn't just teasing. She was the one who told Ethan you were too ugly for him. She dared him to flirt with you, just to humiliate you." The words hit like a slap. I always knew Chloe played a part, but hearing it confirmed, hearing that my worst humiliation was a game to them, it lit something inside me. Not anger. Not sadness. Freedom. Because they didn't win. I did. I squeezed Natalie's hand and thanked her again, meaning it with every fiber of my being. As Liam and I left the event together, he leaned down and whispered, "You want to grab dinner? Just us. Celebrate properly." I nodded, feeling lighter than I had in years. We chose a small, cozy restaurant nearby. As we waited for our food, Liam suddenly cleared his throat and pulled out a small box. "By the way," he said, a mischievous twinkle in his eye, "I have a surprise for you." I blinked, confused. "Another one?" He opened the box to reveal a second, even more dazzling ring, a custom piece he had designed himself, with tiny hidden inscriptions only we could read. "For our real wedding band," he said. "Because you deserve something one of a kind. Just like you." I couldn't help it. Tears welled up in my eyes. At that exact moment, I heard the restaurant door jingle. I turned and nearly choked on my drink. There, standing awkwardly near the entrance, was Ethan again. But he wasn't alone this time. He was arguing with Chloe. Loudly. Embarrassingly. "I told you," Chloe hissed, her voice carrying through the restaurant. "You said you were over her. And you said you were still modeling." Ethan shot back. "Not working at some strip mall makeup counter." Gasps echoed around the room. People were openly staring now. I turned back to Liam, who grinned and handed me a menu like nothing was happening. "Crazy how life works out, huh?" he said. I laughed so hard, I nearly dropped the menu. No revenge plot could have been sweeter than simply living better. I thought the night couldn't get any better or worse for them, but I was wrong. As Liam and I finished our meal, trying to ignore the disaster unfolding near the door, I noticed Chloe storming toward me. "Great. Madison," she snapped, her voice shaking. "Can we talk?" I leaned back in my chair, resting my chin on my hand. "About what exactly?" Her eyes darted around nervously, clearly embarrassed. She leaned in, lowering her voice. "Look, I know we weren't always nice to each other. But Maybe we could, start over? I mean, we're all adults now, right? Water under the bridge. It would have been laughable if it wasn't so pathetic. I smiled sweetly. You mean after you humiliated me, lied about me, and laughed behind my back for years? After you sabotaged me because you were too insecure to see anyone else shine? Her face flushed bright red. It was high school Madison. Everyone does stupid stuff. Liam, bless him, stayed completely silent, but his hand rested on mine under the table, a quiet reminder that I didn't know her anything. Before I could answer, the restaurant door slammed again, and a woman barged in, marching straight toward Ethan and Chloe. At first, I didn't recognize her. Then my jaw dropped. It was Brittany, Ethan's current girlfriend, or at least, she had been. Apparently, Ethan had been two-timing her with Chloe. The second she reached them, Brittany launched into a screaming tirade, outing every shady thing Ethan and Chloe had been doing behind each other's backs. Cheating, lying, sneaking around, even stealing money. The entire restaurant watched in stunned silence as Brittany threw a drink, a full frothy coffee, right into Ethan's face. And just like that, karma made its grand entrance. Chloe screeched, slipping on the wet floor in her stilettos and falling flat on her back. People gasped, phones whipped out. Someone was definitely recording. I turned back to Liam, hiding my grin behind my napkin. Still think we should have gone somewhere fancier? I teased. He chuckled, leaning closer. This is way better than a 5-star dinner. We left the restaurant hand in hand, leaving Ethan and Chloe drowning in their own mess. But the real cherry on top came a week later. I was invited to a huge entrepreneurial award ceremony, something I never even dreamed about back when I was working from my tiny apartment, praying for a single customer. As I arrived at the red carpet entrance, cameras flashing, reporters calling my name, I spotted a familiar figure lingering awkwardly near the rope barrier. It was Chloe, dressed in a cheap knockoff dress, clutching a tiny notebook. As I passed by, she called out, desperate, Madison, please. I applied for a PR job at your company. Could we maybe talk? I paused. For a split second, I remembered all those years she made me feel invisible. All the whispered insults. All the nights I cried, wondering why I wasn't enough. And now she needed me. I gave her the same polite, distant smile she once used to cut me down. Sorry, I said. We're looking for someone with a little more integrity. And with that, I turned and walked into the building, cameras flashing, future blazing ahead of me. Some people would call it revenge. I called it peace. Because the best kind of payback isn't anger or bitterness. It's living a life so beautiful, they have to sit back and watch. Looking back now, I realize sometimes the people who hurt you the most are actually pushing you toward the life you were always meant to build. I used to think being betrayed was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But the truth is, it was the beginning of everything. I found real love. I built a life I'm proud of. And most importantly, I became someone who never needed their approval in the first place. Because success isn't just about money, or awards, or fancy events. It's about finally looking in the mirror and loving the person staring back. And honestly, that's a feeling no one can ever take away from me.